Okay, so what I want to talk about today is, should you go with matte covered books or glossy books? So the problem with this is it's kind of a personal choice, and it shouldn't be. It should be what your customers want and what will appeal to your customers. So I've got a selection of books here, The Martian and Hollywood, glamour, bits and pieces here, a bit of sci-fi, a cookbook. And I want to just talk you through some of these things. Me personally, when it comes to children's books, I like to use a glossy cover. And we're not talking hardback here, we're just talking paperback. And I like to use a glossy cover. That said, with children's books, I like to use a glossy cover in hardback too, because the fingerprints wipe off. They've usually got chocolate or smudges, and on a matte finish, it can leave a lot of unsightly marks on the book and make it look old within a day. So children's books, ideally, I go with glossy. Give them a wipe off, and it's really that simple for me. But glossy doesn't stop with children's books. Now take this chunky looking Hollywood, The Glamour Years. I mean, it's quite an old book, and it's looking a bit worse for wear. But really, that's because of the dust jacket. And if we open the book, we can see that the dust jacket protects, or has protected, the rest of the book. So a dust jacket is a great idea. The trouble with us self-publishers, we're not really often able to get a dust jacket. Now you can with Lulu, and you might do with a few others. You can't do that, I don't think, with Amazon right now. But a dust jacket is really the way to go on a more expensive book, a book that you think people will cherish, a more grown-up book, and it's a different media. You see, when you get a hardcover book without the dust jacket, the image, the cover, is printed onto the cardboard. So it's never going to have the same look as a dust jacket will. And you can see just how glossy that is. So if you're going with a dust jacket, then, your book's obviously not targeted for very young children, or it's highly unlikely. And I would go with a nice glossy finish, because this book is going to get looked after. Someone isn't going to pay this kind of money and then just throw it in a cupboard. Although this has been battered, it's very old, so it's not as battered as it could be. Yeah, it's got a few little issues, but inside it's perfectly fine. So that's great for a glossy image. I like that a lot. Now take things like this. A cookbook. Again, a glossy, and it's only paperback, but a glossy image will wipe off really well. You've got flour and you've got baking stuff and butter and all kinds of stuff going on, possibly. And with a matte book, it will likely stain and leave. This is what I'm talking about. You have to picture what your book, or assess what your book is going to be used for. If it's going to get grubby mitts all over it, food all over it, if it's going to get knocked about a bit, then I'd be going for gloss, especially with children. But this cookbook is an example. It's a simple book, but it's glossy, so you can just wipe that off. And I like that. If it was in matte, no, I wouldn't have gone that way. In matte, Look at this big chunky sci-fi book. No, I didn't write it. I didn't write this. I'd have got bored, I think, halfway through. But it's targeted for adults, and it's matte, and I like that. Now, we don't have an option to have silk or satin look. We don't have an in-between. We don't have something that's not matte and not glossy, and we don't have that option, I don't think, at this time, depending on who you're publishing with. Now, again, I'm not sure whether Lulu do all that kind of thing. I know they do, or they used to do, dust jackets. I don't know whether they do a satin cover. But that would be a good way to go if you was a bit unsure, or you wanted it to look nice and you didn't want it to mark up and everything from young people, or depending on the subject, getting it all marked up. Then your satin would be a good idea. That's not satin, by the way. That's just a matte finish. But it looks great, and it'll be handled by adults. It's unlikely you're going to get children reading this. So, matte for that. And again, we've got the Martian here. I'd almost go with a satin finish for this. You know, it's not quite matte, and it's got some great little sparkly bits in there, some little glossy lettering. So that's really good. And again, we don't have, usually, don't have the option to have different letters, or letters that stand out glossy from a matte background. We just have quite a basic setup, really. And the last one I've got here is a matte book, but it's hardcover. And now I don't know whether you can see, but there's lots of marks on here. And even though this has been targeted for adults, but it looks great. It feels great. It feels really nice. But again, it's an adult book, and it's matte. So that's the way I would look at it. I'd look at targeting your children's books to glossy and silk, satin if you can get it. I wouldn't bother with a dust jacket for children, obviously, and I really wouldn't bother with matte, to be honest with you. Now, it's been said that glossy books can be slippery for children. They can slide them across the floor easier, and they can fall out of the hands easy. But I don't know. That's just they're going to have to learn to hold a book better than that, then, aren't they? I just don't see that being the case. So what else have we got here? Well, like I say, the problem is it's a personal choice quite often. But not only that, it depends who you're publishing with, because not everyone publishes the same way. Not everyone creates a high-quality gloss or a high-quality matte, high-quality dust jacket. So that's a little bit of experimenting there. Once you've actually created your book in matte or gloss, order yourself a copy. Now, I never go for author copies. I sort of give my book a little kickstart. I'm getting money back off it anyway in royalties, and I get it quicker. Once I've published my book, it takes, and it's been accepted, it goes through Amazon Prime, so I could probably get that book within a day or two. Whereas if I went through the author purchase, the author books, it could take a couple of weeks. There's no real rush for it to get to me, and I want that book sorted, so I'll order a full copy, and I'll have a little look at it. I'll have a feel, see how it feels, and if I'm really not too sure about it, if I think it's just going to get destroyed, or it could be better, it might look better in gloss or matte, depending on which way around you've gone, I'll change it. That's the beauty also of us self-publishers. We can change things at a whim. We can just go in, edit our cover, upload another cover, We can change words about on the cover. We don't often really want to be messing about with the manuscript, but there's a lot we can do with the cover. But that said, if we've got a spelling mistake in the manuscript, we can just correct that and publish another one. As long as everything's not moved out of joint. You know, it's not going to take forever to correct the rest of the wording in a book because you've taken a word out or changed it to something else, which can be the case. But back to the covers. Don't really let it be all personal choice. You're going to like what you like and you're going to go, oh, I really like that. And that might be fine, you know, and you might think other people are going to like it. And they might. But they want something usable. It's got to be practical for them, not just look good. Because you don't forget, when they're looking on the internet, they don't see how shiny it is. They don't see the matte or the satin silk or whatever. They don't see that on the internet when they're looking on Amazon. It's only when they actually get it in their hands. So really, I mean, you could go with anything you like. But I'd stick to them rules, like I say. Glossy for kids. Super glossy, because it's on a different media, or medium, or whatever. For a dust jacket, it's actually printed on more photo paper. And it's thick. Printed on to a hardback. You know, it's never going to be completely glossy. It'll be glossy, but it'll not be as glossy as that. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. How do you do your covers? Do you do it similar to the way I do it? Do you look at what it's going to be used for? Or do you not really care? Or was you just looking for some advice? Well, I hope this helped.